is a price that could be paid that will cause you to stop short of your goal, your destiny, or of the kingdom. Rest assured, your adversary, Hasatan, would be willing to pay that to keep you from entering in. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, the final day of Matot Masei. And let's go to chapter number 33, where we began the Masei part, the journey part. And it begins with verse 1. These are the departures, or the journeys, of the children of Israel who went out of the land of Mitzrayim by their divisions. That's a military designation. They went out rank and file, marching as if in a military parade. Under the hand of Moshe and Aaron, and Moshe wrote down the starting points of their departures at the mouth of Yahweh. And these are their departures according to their starting points. Now notice verse 3. So they departed from Ramses in the first new moon of the 15th day of the first new moon. On the morrow after the Pesach, the children of Israel went out with boldness before all the eyes of the Mitzrites. And then in verse 4 is something that I know I've read this, but it didn't leap off the page until I read it this week. Verse 4 says, And the Mitzrites were burying all their firstborn, whom Yahweh had stricken among them, and also on their mighty ones Yahweh had executed judgments. I don't know why I never noticed this before. But when Israel went out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, they did so triumphantly and with great boldness and in marching order. But as they were marching out of the land, perhaps on both sides of them were Mitzrites digging graves and burying their firstborn dead. What a sight that must have been. What an eerie situation that must have been. Mitzrayim was full of death. People had died. Their idols were proven to be false or powerless or meaningless before the hand of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. So they marched out, and it wasn't long after that, as they got on the other side of the Red Sea, the Reed Sea, they again saw dead bodies. This time it is the army of Egypt, the army of Mitzrayim, floating up and down in the sea. Yah had drowned them in the very place that Israel had gone through in triumph. Once again, the pattern is we march in triumph and our enemy is dealing with death. I'd like to say that that is the pattern that held throughout the entire journey, but the tables were turned. Among the journey stops, we will find that there were times that Israel had to bury their own dead. There was an entire generation, maybe we could call them the generation of the firstborn, at least among those that were in the wilderness. That firstborn generation, they died one by one, and they were buried in the sand. For 38 plus years, Israel marched in a circular pattern around the mountain over and over and over again. And I can imagine that they passed by the burial spots of grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, my uncle, my aunt. And it had to be a sad and discouraging thing. Oh no, we're coming up to the place where my family's buried. But they did that year after year. Instead of ultimately stopping them, they wanted to break free of the cycle of the remembrance of death. Death can debilitate you, hold you back. The passing of someone that you love can just wreck you. I know that personally. Or you can build on their legend, their legacy, their status, their hopes, their dreams, and say what they failed to realize. I'm going to pick up that mantle and keep on going. I'm not going to stop. If you have a price that can be paid, If you will say, I will serve Yah up to a certain price, up into a certain cost, then that cost will be paid. Hasatan will find a way to bring you to that place where you will say no more. You see, there is an idea that once we are born again, that we're called to a life of power and ease and comfort and continual nonstop blessing. The reality is, more than blessing, you and I are called to perseverance, to overcoming, to breaking through, to breaking off the shackles that hold us down and keep us back, and learning to be a victor. You can't be an overcomer if you have nothing to overcome. You can't be victorious if there's not a fight somewhere. At some point and at some time, you and I deal with our stuff. We deal with our adversary. We deal with our own evil inclination, and we have to overcome. Or else someone will carry us out next to a hole in the ground, say some words, and put us in it. Now, I'm not saying that if you pass away that you died in defeat. There are those, my dad being an example, you died in victory. You died in a powerful way. You died in overcoming, and you leave behind a foundation that can be built upon. But there are others that they never achieved. They just never got their dreams off of the ground. Yah wants more for us than just thinking about what could be and imagining how much better it might be. He wants to enable you and I to reach those goals and to overcome and to persevere and to see things become a reality so that we can leave behind something tangible, meaningful, something productive, something fruit-bearing to those who are of the next generation. Now, you and I are living in such times that we could reasonably anticipate that we're going to go alive into the kingdom. That's my goal. For me to live as Messiah, to die as gain. So if I don't make it out of this stage of life alive, then I will see you in the kingdom. However, it is my goal and ambition to be at the front of a line somewhere hollering, charge, we got one more hill to climb, one more overcoming of obstacles to achieve, one more battle to fight, and we're going to make it in. Hold on, Mashiach is at the door. I want to encourage and build up, and I want to be able to say before Messiah on that day, I made it. And these are those that I have brought with me. That's my goal. That's my dream. Between here and there, I must make sure that I have no price tags in mind for relief, for appeasement, for comfort, or convenience. Not a pretty picture, perhaps, but Yah's looking for those that are filled with His power. My dear friend, and I call brother Hanok Young in Israel, recently said that Yah is not so much looking for more sheep, He's wanting to raise up lions. Let's raise up some lions. Some of those that will guard the flock. Some of those that will defend. Some of those that will roar and cause others to rally to them. This past week, I had an opportunity to meet many of you at Revive in Franklin, Tennessee, to see your faces. And I would start down the path of naming names, at least the first names, but I know I would forget somebody, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But if I had a chance to talk to you and share with you and see you face to face, I will relish those moments with great joy and great delight. I was highly encouraged by your remarks, by your testimonies of what 10-Minute Torah means to you and how that you're sharing it with others. I'm extremely humbled. I don't know what to say other than thank you. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom to you, to your family, to those that you gather with. May Yah give you the power to overcome and persevere. And I do hope to see you again soon. Until next week, Shabbat Shalom.